day. Welcome to another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's get into it. All right. So I see that we're playing Philadelphia to start the season. And I see fans already predicting we're going to go 1-0, which is a definite possibility. We've upgraded the wide receiver position. We have that hackback there, quarterback. Defensive line upgraded. People forget that. Not only is our secondary coming back, Josh Butler, ACL injury, Trayvon Diggs, DeMarvion Overshown coming back. But people forget. I want to get his name right. Marshawn Nehelan. Yeah. That's the guy. Marshawn Nehelan. Yeah. He got injured. He was playing some ball. Okay. So, Marshawn Nehelan is coming back this year. So, we're loaded at defensive line. We have returning members of the secondary, loaded at wide receiver, loaded at running back. We're going to have a pretty good year this year. I think so. Despite the fact we do play a tough schedule, okay? And I do see that we play the Chiefs on Christmas Day. Say Christmas Day. We play the Chiefs Thanksgiving Day, okay? Which I think is kind of appropriate because the Chiefs used to be in Dallas, believe it or not. And the NFL wasn't really going to expand in Dallas in 1960, but the AFL had come in to play, and the AFL went into Dallas, and before they were the Chiefs, they were the Dallas Texans. So when the NFL saw that Lamar Hunt put a team in Dallas, the NFL said, oh yeah, we're going to put a team in Dallas too, okay? So, I'm wondering if the Chiefs are going to wear their Dallas Texans jerseys on Thanksgiving Day. Just might, okay? Just might. So, what do I want to talk about first? So Billy Joe Dupree, probably one of the best tight ends in Cowboys history. Probably forgotten. I know we also had Mike Ditka in addition to Billy Joe Dupree, who is actually Billy Joe Dupree's tight end coach, Mike Ditka. Okay. I know we had Mike Ditka come through, Billy Joe Dupree, Doug Cosby, Steve Olson. Steve Olson, okay, and Jano Ovechek, Jason Witten, and now Dalton Schultz recently, Jake Ferguson, and Luke Schoonmaker, aspiring Luke Schoonmaker. So Billy Joe Dupree was one of the best tight ends in Cowboys history, and he actually taught a rookie a lesson, okay? So I guess it was the 1980 season, okay, when Matt Millen was a rookie linebacker with the Raiders, okay? Matt Millen was a rookie linebacker with the Raiders, and he took a cheap shot at Tony Dorsett, okay? He took a cheap shot at Tony Dorsett. Billy Joe Dupree came over and got Matt Millen and said, young man, this is not the way we do things around here, okay? Yeah, so what did they say? Matt Millen messed around and found out, Billy Joe Dupree shut him down pretty quickly, okay? Speaking of shutting people down, James Washington, okay? One of the hardest hitters, one of the best trash talkers on the team, okay? James didn't exactly have the best life growing up. First of all, James's dad left him at 2. And then he said that the state took his mom away when he was 4. Okay. So then he was raised by his grandparents at the age of 6. Okay. So raised by his grandparents at the age of 6. Had some coaches through high school who showed him the way. Then he was recruited to UCLA by Ken Norton, who also went to UCLA. Guess who also went to UCLA? Troy Aikman. Okay, Aikman, Ken Norton, James Washington, future Cowboys teammates, all on one team, right? So Ken Norton recruited him to play at UCLA. James did. He had a couple of knee injuries when he was in college, right? He was a projected first round draft pick. He had a couple of knee injuries in college that dropped his draft stock. Okay. So he fell to the second round to the Los Angeles Rams. Okay. Before he came to Dallas. Okay. So taken by the Rams in 1988, had a couple of thigh injuries early on that limited him somewhat. But these bugs. Anyway, had a couple of thigh injuries that limited him in his first 2 years. The Rams got to the 89 championship game, NFC championship game versus the 49ers. And believe it or not, James Washington actually started that game. Okay? He started the game. And finished with 11 tackles. But the Rams got blown out by the 49ers. He tells an interesting story. James Washington wasn't even thinking about the NFL, okay? James Washington was actually preparing to be a probation officer, okay? James Washington had already moved on and was about to begin his life without football. And then he says he was about to go to the movies when he got a call from the Rams, right? Okay. So yeah. 1990 was the first year of Plan B. 1990 was the first year of Plan B free agency, and the Cowboys signed 17 Plan B free agents in 1990. That's a ton of Plan B free agents, right? James Washington was one of the 17, and Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson saw that James Washington was a good player. Believe it or not, he gave James Washington a little bit of leeway. I think it was Jimmy Johnson who said Washington did things you never seen anybody do, and Washington will also make mistakes that you would never see anybody do. But again, Jimmy gave him a little leeway because he was a good player. Now, if he was a bad player, Jimmy said he would have cut him. Okay, go figure, right? And so led the Cowboys in 1990 with 70 tackles. Okay, and started, and I believe I believe he wasn't. No. I don't think he was starting his first year with the Cowboys because I know they had Ray Horton and Vince Albritton back there. Okay. Yeah. So it was. Yeah. So it was Albritton and Ray Horton, and I know Isaac Holt and Manny Hendricks, I believe, were the corners. Okay. So yeah. Um, he had an interesting nickname too. James Washington's nickname was Drive By. I kid you not. Just ask Jim. Just ask Jim Jeffcoat. Okay. James Washington's nickname was Drive By because you never knew when James Washington would hit you. Okay. Um, James Washington once said he was trying to hit everything moving. Okay. And so then when you played for Jimmy Johnson and you were at practice, okay? When you played for Jimmy Johnson when you were at practice, everybody got hit. Everybody got hit. Unless your name was Troy Aikman. Of course. Everybody got hit. And so James Washington was like, well, you got to start running back in Emmitt Smith. Well, do I hit him? And the coaches were like, yes, hit him. Yes, you hit him. Okay. And James Washington once said, the Cowboys had a documentary on the 1991 season. Okay. It is called 91. Okay. The season that launched the dynasty. They had a documentary on the 1991 season. And it opens with James Washington saying, Austin, Texas, summertime, hot as hell. Okay. 105 degrees in Austin, Texas. Okay. And the Cowboys are hitting in pads twice a day. Nate Newton put it best. We are beating each other to death. Now, can you imagine going in and doing this for 10 days straight? Picture this, okay? Scorching hot temperatures. You are hitting, okay? And Jimmy Johnson is just there barking. Jimmy Johnson's just there barking, okay? And I know the Cowboys had the middle drill, okay? Jimmy Johnson said he loved the middle drill because if the offense picked up 3 yards, he would be really upset at the defense, okay? And I think it was put best by Tony Dorsett in his first year with the team. He said, if you made it through the middle drill, the rest of the practice was a whole lot more easier, okay? And James Washington, one of the best players the Cowboys had in the early part of the 90s. I know he lost his starting spot to Darren Woodson at the start of 1993, but Darren Woodson, Jimmy Johnson gave James Washington. Jimmy Johnson gave James Washington the start in Super Bowl 28. Okay, so Washington started in Super Bowl 28, but he was going to use all of his safeties: Everett, Washington, Woodson. Okay, and there are some teammates who think he was robbed of MVP. James Washington because of course Herman Thomas fumbled at the start of the second half, and James Washington picked it up, returned it for a touchdown that tied the game at 13. And he also had a interception of Jim Kelly where he came out of nowhere and got to the ball before Don Beebe did. Okay, James Washington says, who was the MVP of Super Bowl 28? And James Washington says, I was the MVP of Super Bowl 28, but they gave it to Emmitt Smith. Okay, so but I completely understand why they gave it to Emmitt Smith, right? So there was a linebacker by the name of Anthony Dickerson. Okay, played had a couple of years with the Cowboys, and I believe it was 1983 where he had a excellent season for the Cowboys. Was tops in tackles. Even made he won the game for the Cowboys when they played the Saints at Texas Stadium. They played the Saints at Texas Stadium, where he won the game for the Cowboys by a safety. Okay, Ken Stabler dropped back to pass. Yes, Ken Stabler was playing for the Saints. Snake. Ken Stabler dropped back to pass, and Anthony Dickerson sacked him in the end zone for a safety. So Anthony Dickerson made the game-winning safety of Ken Stabler that won the game. Okay. So he had an excellent season in 1983. Production fell off in 1984, and then just kind of faded away. Yeah, so unbelievably, there were teammates who thought that James Washington should have been named MVP of the Super Bowl, but again, I can see why they gave it to Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith was a superstar, and James Washington was pretty good. Okay, so you can see why they're going to give it to a household name, right? Ironically, after the 1994 season, he actually signed with the Washington Redskins, believe it or not. James Washington did. He signed with the Washington Redskins in 1995, okay? And needless to say, he got ran over by Emmitt Smith when they played the Cowboys at Texas Stadium, okay? Emmitt Smith ran over him as James Washington was attempting to tackle him. Ironically, we lost that game to a guy by the name of Heath Shuler, a draft bust, okay? So, yeah. But at the end of the year, it really didn't matter because we won the Super Bowl anyway. So, yeah. All right. That's it. And that's all for Classic Cowboys Talk. I am out of here. How about them Cowboys? God bless you all.